So in this video, I'll be inking Storm as the fourth phase of my Let's Draw Mohawk Storm series. I'm also going to share my process for the stage and talk to you a little bit about inking in general. So for inking, this is the only time I will tell an artist to trace. As an artist, I never tell anyone to trace to improve their skill. I'm like so against tracing. You can even ask my students how strict I am when it comes to tracing. I'm totally against it. I would never tell you to trace anything to improve your skill as an artist. As a matter of fact, the only reason why you would have to trace is to improve your skill on inking, but not to perfect your skill as an artist. And a lot of times I try to tell my students, don't trace another artwork and portray it like it's something that you drew by looking at something or off the top of your head, because for one, I can always tell, especially when the size is like a specific accurate size. And then sometimes I'll tell them, well, what did you reference to draw it? And they'll show me the picture and I'll just hold it up to the light and line up the line work. And I'll be like, yeah, just as I thought, this was traced. But I usually tell people to try to stay away from that because it doesn't do anything for your skill as an artist. Now, with that being said, inking your illustrations and your comics is the only time I would tell anyone to trace. And matter of fact, this is the time when you would need to be good at tracing or inking to be able to ink your comics or illustrations. There is a way you can use tracing for when it comes to producing projects and things of that nature, but I'll have to put that in another video because it's very specific the way you use tracing in that way. But other than that, yeah, inking for comics and illustrations is the only time you should be tracing anything. You can see here I'm inking Mohawk Storm. You'll notice that I'm like cleaning up my lines as I go. So the good thing about doing that is that it makes less work for after you're done inking and you have to go back and clean up your line work. That's why I like to do it here and there. I try not to spend too much time cleaning up while I'm inking because it can just, in my opinion, just be more time consuming or just make it look like your inking process can be a little long. But there's nothing wrong with cleaning up a little here and there while you're inking because it, like I said, it just cuts time in half from when it comes to the cleanup process, and you won't be looking around for a whole bunch of mess up or wonky looking lines that needs to be fixed. So it's very important to make sure that when you ink, right, before you get to the inking process, that you make sure that your sketch lines are pretty clean. So for those of you that have seen my Let's Draw Mohawk Storm Phase 3 video, you'll see that that video was completely committed to just me cleaning up the sketch that I did in Phase 2 video. And the reason for this is that it makes it much easier for when you're inking. Now, the thing about inking is that it can be really tough to ink work when the sketches are really messy, and especially when you're working with another artist. And there are times when the artist is just used to sketching their style, and they are probably just used to like having their lines a little messy because they know how to ink their own work. I can be like that sometimes when it comes to my sketches or working on certain projects. But when it comes to creating a character or working on comics, I try to make sure that I go back and clean up those lines as much as possible because I just don't want to, I don't want to give myself a rough time when it comes to inking. Inking, in my opinion, can be like pretty tedious and it takes a lot of time. So I just like to make sure that everything is easy as possible and comfortable for me. With that being said though, make sure that you check out Phase 3 video if you haven't, but when you're sketching, try to make sure that that line work is as clean as possible because yes, you can get confused from your own lines. Although you are the artist, you will get confused from your own lines. Now, when I ink, for me, I'm using, of course, the software known as Flash, and what I like to do is create a layer just for my inks. I don't do everything on the same layer, which wouldn't make sense to do anyway, but it can be done and you can separate those lines in Flash. But yeah, I prefer to create a new layer and just start inking on top of my sketch lines. And yeah, it's pretty much just that simple. You just create your sketch on one layer, have your ink lines on the layer above, and yeah, you can mess up as much as you want and just go back and fix it, and you won't ever mess up those sketch lines. So yeah, make sure you take advantage of the layers. And when you ink, another thing too, being as though you're drawing on another layer, you don't have to worry about trying to keep everything perfect, like can't mess up or whatever. Like you can mess up as much as you want because All you got to do is just fix those lines. You can erase as much as you want and just go over it again and make those lines perfect. You're going to erase. There's nothing wrong with that. You're going to mess up as an artist. So that's something that you should look forward to as an artist is to mess up. And that's the thing about inking, is that you can mess up and just fix it, you know, because it's on a whole nother layer. You're not ruining anything. You're not going to mess up anything permanently from the sketch. As long as you got the sketch there, you can just always go on ahead and just fix your ink lines and make sure that it's a good quality. The other thing I like to do after I have inked everything is I like to put line weight to my characters. So the line weight is when you see like thicker outlines, and you could have like thicker outlines for certain areas, like how they do in Western cartoons. Like if you ever look at some of Butch Hartman character designs, or if you look at, even if you check out like some of Disney work, you'll see that a lot of characters have line weight on there. And it's like certain lines will be darker or thicker than other lines that's on there. And it serves a purpose. You just have to look at the illustrations and see why they do it, or where do they place those lines and how do they make it work. But yeah, it's a really cool technique. It makes your work pop even more. And it also, a lot of times the reason why people do it is to draw attention to an area on the character that they want you to notice, or that they want to enhance for whatever position or pose or area that character is in. So this is me inking the storm here. You can see how, as I'm drawing these lines, I'm like trying to make sure that they're all single strokes. You don't want to have too many sketch lines. Actually, you don't want to have sketch lines at all. And what I mean by sketch lines is when you break up the line that you're drawing, you want to kind of keep it in continuous strokes, single continuous strokes. So I'm gonna go on ahead and just show y'all the rest of Mohawk Storm, so you can see how she looks completed and how everything had came out. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you think about the inking of Mohawk Storm. I plan to create one more video for this series, and that's going to be it, because I don't want to spend too much time with the storm videos. I feel like I've been working on the storm illustration for a while now, and yeah, it's time to move on to other illustrations and, you know, start showing you guys how I break down my process for creating different characters. So yeah, this is the inking of Mohawk Storm, and feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you think about her. Also, if there's a character that you would like for me to produce for the Let's Draw videos, please leave that character name in the comment section. Just keep in mind that any character that you suggest is not sexually seductive or something crazy and demonic looking. I don't mind doing popular characters, just make sure that they're not some kind of demon or have an inner demon inside of them. That's it for Phase 4 inking video, and stay tuned for the next Let's Draw Mohawk Storm Phase 5 coloring. If you enjoyed this video, then hit that like and subscribe button. You can also check out some of my other videos. Feel free to leave a comment or suggestions for future videos you would like to see me do. Thank you for watching, and God bless.